What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So Lucid recently announced that the Apple CarPlay is going to become standard in all of the Airs going forward, which of course is very positive. So I want to give you a little bit more of an update on that and what that might mean for potentially Lucid and maybe a partnership. So I'm going to touch on that. There was also another article that did come out as far as price predictions. Very positive price prediction. So I want to go over that and see if there is any credibility to that and maybe something that they are missing out on. So I'm going to go over my price prediction as well. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get right to it. So like I said, they recently came out with this saying that the Apple CarPlay is going to become standard on all of the EVs going forward, which in general I think is fairly positive. A little bit late to the game because I think this was initially the plan for early 2022, but no matter what, it's here. So I think in general that's pretty positive. And coincidentally, at this same time, GM actually announced that they're stepping away from Apple CarPlay. So kind of a little twist when it comes down to that. And like I've said in the past, Lucid has always really stepped up their game for the whole customer experience. So I think having this is definitely going to very much help. This was recently posted on Twitter. It says Lucid Air rumored to be the first to feature Apple CarPlay 2.0. And this is a little bit more of a source from Reddit. And whenever someone talks on, for instance, Apple and Lucid in the same sentence, you kind of have to bring up the whole leadership team, and a lot of which, how some of them have come from Apple, helped with, for instance, the Mac, iPhone hardware and software, things like that. So of course, I think that's fairly positive. But generally speaking, it does add a little bit more credibility to this whole story, potentially. Because I personally don't think it's any coincidence the fact that Lucid recently announced about having it standard on all the EVs when, for instance, they are going to be announcing and kind of unveiling this new 2.0 for vehicles. And I think in general, Apple knows that Lucid likes to have very good technology in their vehicles. They know they also like to have the best customer experience, similar to kind of what Apple does. So like I've said in the past, there is some credibility to potentially having a Lucid Apple partnership. Of course, I don't really want to delve into that in this video, but like I've said in the past, I think there is some credibility. So the fact that Apple CarPlay 2.0 might be potentially featured first with Lucid vehicles would be absolutely huge, and especially like I said, just to increase the whole customer experience. They can do it wirelessly because that's where obviously Lucid vehicles get a lot of their updates from and things like that. So very seamless from Apple, seamless from Lucid, and it kind of makes sense from both aspects. So in general, I think that definitely has a lot of credibility and would be absolutely huge for Lucid. And of course, I think a lot of people would take that as a good indication that there might be something bigger coming. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. There was also this article that did come out that I want to touch on. So it says Lucid stock price prediction 2025. Can Lucid stock recover amid bearish sentiment? And some of you may or may not know, I like to give you all aspects. I like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I would absolutely love to shove roses and flowers up everyone's asses for the most part and just give you nothing but positives and neglecting the negatives. But what kind of investor would I be for you guys? Because like I said, I made this channel because I want to educate investors. I want to make the best investors, and to be a good investor you have to know all aspects. So for instance, if someone is just looking at this article and for instance by 2030 they are assuming the stock price is going to be right here. So in 2030 the Lucid stock price is predicted to see a strong performance. Lucid market may continue its bullish trend and reach a maximum level of $635 and an average price of $580. In addition, Lucid may form a bottom level near $550 by 2030's end. So if someone's just reading that, they would go all in on Lucid. Like, who wouldn't? Like, for instance, if someone's saying it's going to $635, well, hell, like, you might as well take out 10 mortgages and buy Lucid, because that does represent a 82x from today's prices. So of course, I think this is where a lot of people might be kind of neglecting some of the negatives. So of course, I'm going to break this down. So when it comes down to 2023, out of anything, I actually do agree with this. So in here that says that basically it might have a average price of $10, minimum of $6, and a max of 15. So in reality, if the market does go through and start through a little bit more of an expansionary stage near the tail end of 2023, I can easily see $15 achieving that. So 2023, I think, is fairly accurate. But the problem with this article is, let's say one of these price predictions is very much wrong. Then unfortunately, it just piggybacks and is a little bit more of a domino effect. For instance, in 2028, it does state this: Lucid stock price may skyrocket in 2028 as its price can reach a maximum level of $320. However, the bearish side, it may register a low of 280 with an average of 295. So basically no justification on any of these in reality. So 2028, let's say this is very much wrong. Well, then 2029 is wrong. 2023 or 2030 is wrong too. So again, it's just, you have to do your own due diligence, because for instance, I think in this article, it's kind of neglecting the fact that there might be a recession. And of course, I know some of you are saying, well, we've gone through a recession a little bit right now. When a lot of people and institutions talk on recession, they're talking 2008, potentially worse, because there's a lot of things and a lot of potential big cracks that are starting to form and that have been forming due to higher interest rates and inflation that haven't really been represented in the data points as of yet, but people are still assuming that it may come. But based on this article, it looks like the market is going to go on almost a decade-long continuous bullish trend, which of course isn't realistic. So again, just kind of do your own due diligence. Like I mentioned, I'm going to give you my price predictions as well throughout to see if there is any credibility to this or anything. But as of right now, 2023, I do kind of agree with. But some things to note as well. So like I said, 2028 is very much incorrect in reality and kind of no justification whatsoever. But as of right now, I think it is assumed that up to 2027 is going to be not profitable. So 2027, this is where they actually might be achieving profitability. That's of course if they do ramp up on production significantly, and if they keep maintaining these low amounts, then it's just going to push back profitability. Unfortunately, there's going to be some big milestones as well. So 2026, this is clearly, or 2025, 2026, somewhere in that range, this is where the AMP2 is going to be starting to be unveiled, and I think that's a pretty big thing. Based on some recent posts as well by 𝗖𝗧, it does show that things are making some pretty big progress at the AMP2. So in general, I think that might be a pretty positive thing, but based on these price predictions, doesn't necessarily really resemble that potentially. Over and above that, 2026, they do also not really account for any dilution or any paying back of the senior debt, because in 2021 in December they did announce that whole 2.2 or 2.02 or whatever it was billion-dollar senior note offering, and of course it comes due on December the 15th, 2026. That doesn't seem to be really accounted for here. Neither is any dilution, and I've kind of been very accurate when it comes down to that. So for the Q4 earnings, when they did announce the actual delivery numbers, production numbers, and so forth, Sherry did say right here, saying that Lucid ended the year with about 4.9 billion in total liquidity, which the company says will fund operations into its first quarter of 2024. And of course, like I've said, they injected around, I think it was about 2 billion or $1.5 billion within this quarter, but yet as far as the operations, it only pushed it back a quarter, because based on previous assumptions, it was Q4 of 2023. So they're burning through quite a lot of cash. And like I've mentioned, up until profitability, whether that be 2027, 2028, they're going to continue to burn through a lot of cash, which unfortunately means dilution, which is a little bit more counterproductive to these price predictions. But again, to go over the nitty gritty, I know Lucid, and this is why I still continue to hold Lucid and still cover Lucid, because I like the vehicles. I do believe that Lucid will still continue to have a very good competitive advantage. And in this article, they actually do bring up that exact same thing, that potentially there is going to be a little bit more of an increased competition. But because of Lucid's tech and current tech, and hopefully hopefully innovation and continued innovation, they will be the best. So the only thing that really is holding them back so far has just been management and the kind of amateur stuff that they've really been going through, because once they start to really ramp up on production and get triple the amount that, for instance, is quoted in 2023, then this is where they can potentially achieve profitability by maybe early 2026. And by doing so, their stock price is just going to skyrocket as a result. But in all fairness, with dilution and everything factored in, and like I said, I like to give you all aspects, good, bad, and the ugly. I honestly do see by 2030 a fraction of this. So not 635. I actually do see anywhere from maybe $120 to $150. And of course, even in that regard, I could be very much off, because from now until 2030, there's a lot of things that could come very much and go very much right for Lucid or very much wrong. Because for instance, in 2023 is very much dependent on, for instance, the peer. And then of course 2024 is going to be the Gravity. 2025 or mid-decade is going to be that lower price SUV. And if they push back any of those things, then that just pushes back the stock price and this huge expansion. And of course, like I've already mentioned, I think 2 other times or 3 other times, profitability plays a very big part in all of this. But no matter what, again, it's pretty good to be optimistic, but I personally feel you have to be cautiously optimistic. So let me know your thoughts on this article. Did you read it? Do you agree with it? Do you think it's going to be 635 by 2030? What is your price prediction? If you were just to throw a random number, because like I said, I do agree that a lot of big things are going to be coming Lucid's way, but there's going to be a lot of different viewpoints. So I'm interested to hear, what is your 2030 price prediction? So like I said, I think mine is around maybe 240 or 140, sorry, in that range. And of course, if they have partnerships, that could just definitely increase that significantly. But of course, I could be very much wrong. So let me know your thoughts on all that in the comments below. And on a side note, let me know your thoughts on, for instance, the Apple CarPlay, the 2.0. Very interested to hear your viewpoint on that. So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. If you do like my Lucid content and want to support the channel, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, there is a good promo with Moomoo, link in the description below and also the comments. Just open up a free account and you get 1 free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, plus you do get free level 2 and also $0 commission, so kind of a no-brainer. Like I said, link in the description below and also the comments. Plus, if you want to throw $100 at the account as well, you do get a total of 5 free stocks. So very much a no-brainer. Take advantage while you can, and link in the description below. And without further ado, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.